And good evening, everyone. It is me, Bill, and it is finally the weekend. And what happens on the weekend? Well, we have Saturday night, late night, here on Weird Fantastic Toy Adventures, where me and Joneser have a lot of fun. And tonight we're going to do a tribute to the late, great Ole Anderson. And Joneser's worked hard on that. Let's see who all has made it to the chat to be with us tonight. Bjorn Jorgensen came in early, and so did Mr. George Valentine. Good to see you guys. OBS is here. Good to see you, hon. Mega Demon Collects is here. Playing with my 3.75 is here just because Bjorn is. Well, good to have you here, sir. Please do subscribe if you haven't already. It will help my channel. We're on the way, as you can see up here. The subscriber count is actually, at last I looked, 903. YouTube's been messing with me. It goes to 903, back to 902, up to 903, and back to 902. And I don't, Joneser says that it's all fake numbers, but I need to get 1,000 subscribers. So we're on the way. We passed the 900 point last weekend, so yay on that. Moving right along, we've got Mr. Benny with us. Hey, man, how's it going? We've got Mike Fee here. We've got Radical Mom with us. We got Jamie Sanders. And that about catches us up. We've got everybody here. The numbers are fake. The perks are real. That's absolutely right, Joneser. Speaking of Joneser, let's get him in here with us.
What's up, everybody? It's Joneser, your favorite comic book guy. So let's do this.
There you
What's
are.
up, everybody? How's our wonderful Saturday night? Woo!
Oh, yeah, we've been waiting all week for this, haven't we, Joneser? It's been a hell of a week, but it had its ups and downs, and now we're here. How was your week, John?
Well, started bad, ended good, I suppose. We can go with that.
Started good.
Got back on track at work, productive, kicking butt, taking names.
Yeah, mine started out good, went to shit, then went back good again. Hey, Susudio, good to see you. OBS has been listening to a singing cat. YouTube's changed things again. I can't scroll up to see any comments I missed. I can. I don't know what. I don't know what's going on with your Chromebook there, hon.
Sometimes if you have it set for live chat or all chat, that can change it.
It also depends on how fast the chat's moving. Mine moves at a decent rate. Depends on how fast people are commenting here. Nightwing with us, Bill and Jones, rest in peace, Ole Anderson and Virgil. We talked about Virgil, Joneser and I did. There you go. Earlier. He's an interesting cat, but we're more interested in Ole than we are Virgil right now. But it's a shame Virgil's gone. He was probably one of the best jobbers at the time. They would throw him out there and let him get beat up while everybody else scurried away and escaped.
Bill, it's funny that you mentioned that last night to me. And it's funny when you're getting worked and you don't realize you're getting worked. Like, I didn't realize that was Virgil's role until you called it out. And then like my whole childhood played through my head. And I was like, oh my God, that's really what it was we wanted to lose some flavor on the $1 Million Man, but without getting the $1 Million Man hurt. So Virgil would take the bumps and get thrown around, and the $1 Million Man would scoot away scot-free. And then he just kind of reprised that role in the NWO when he went in there. And I think they tried him as a babyface for a cup of coffee. They did the "No, I won't carry your bags anymore" move with him and
that was with him and $1 Million Man, and I think the $1 Million Man that was also a work. I think $1 Million Man showed him up on that one too, made him look like an idiot, but that was what his role was.
Well, and a lot of people don't give Ted DiBiase the credit he deserves, because watching it back, like as a kid, I hated him. But watching it back, you're like, oh, he's carrying the Ultimate Warrior. Oh, he's carrying a lot of these guys that can't work. This once you know what you're looking at watching it, you know that this guy knew his stuff.
Bill needs some $1 million coffee. He can hear the coffee maker going, yeah, I got another cup brewing over there. It's right now just getting done. Ole was great, and Virgil beat the $1 Million Man when he went on a run, and then it went out.
Yeah.
My most horrible memory of Virgil was when they turned him into Curly Bill and throwed him to the West Texas Rednecks. That was awful.
I must have blocked that out, or I have no idea what you're talking about.
That's probably a good thing because it was the stupidest gimmick ever. Curly Bill turned Virgil into a cowboy. He even had a little cowboy hat on his head.
I met him. This is at the end of his, I don't even think he was wrestling anymore. He was at San Diego Comic-Con. I was living in San Diego. I was at Comic-Con back before it got so big you can't even get a ticket to it anymore. And they had a lot of cool people. They had a Masters of the Universe booth. They had the original Batmobile there. Lou Ferrigno was there. And a lot of the booths were, you know, had a line or, you know, crowd formed. And we were looking around and we just see old poor Virgil or Vincent, I guess he was. He had the NWO shirt on. And he was just sitting there at his table by himself, not a soul in sight. And it was just one of the saddest things.
Was. I think
so I went over.
Well. He sat at his little table by himself, and everybody else had lines out the door.
Well, we went over and talked to him just because we could, you know, like there's no one to bother you. And I don't know what he was charging for an autograph or a picture or whatever, and we didn't even
hang on there, Jones. Ole became a cranky old guy near the end. He was a cranky old guy near the beginning. He always was a cranky old guy, Bjorn. But yes, he was a cranky old man. Ultimate Warrior was lousy in the ring and hard to work with. That is absolutely correct. Warrior was only in it for the money. I think you're right. Ole was cranky in his 20s, according to everybody who met him. He was born cranky. That's correct. Rolando Flores in the house. Thank you for coming, Rolando. Looks like we got a full crew here, Jones. Or what you want to do first?
Don't matter to me.
All right. We've got a little slideshow, pretty much a tribute to Ole Anderson, and Joneser worked really hard to set this up for you guys. So I'm going to bring that up. Let me see which one it is. Let me make sure this is open. And I think it's this one. Yes, it is. Okay. I'll read these and then you can comment. Ole Anderson was trained to wrestle by Dick the Bruiser and Vern Gagne. He made his debut on the 19th of August, 1967, wrestling for the AWA from 1967 to 1968, winning several singles and tag championships.
He didn't start off wrestling as Ole Anderson. I cannot remember what the original name was, but when he did his tryout with Vern Gagne, Vern was legit. Like Vern could put one of those crippling hook sugar holds on you or something where you wouldn't be able to do nothing. And this was the old school way they used to train wrestlers. So, and Ole did some training himself when he got seasoned, and he used this same method, which wrestling was a protected business. So what these guys would do is they'd have, like, you know, let's say 10, 15 kids show up to learn how to wrestle. Well, they'd have them do, you know, 1,000 push-ups, you know, run 2 miles, go up and down the stairs, they'd blow them up. They'd get them to where they didn't have nothing left in the gas tank. They, you know, jumping jacks for 2 hours, and then they'd put them in the ring with some guy who knows how to turn you into a pretzel, whether you knew it or not. And then they just beat on these people. And there are two reasons.
Bjorn's using the word shooter. I think the word is hooker. They would hook you. They would hook you with like he said, one of those catch can sugar holes and just hurt the fuck out of you, and you can't get out of it.
No.
It's like a front face lock. I mean, once you get in it, you ain't getting out of it till he lets you go, no matter what you do.
What they do, they'd hold these kids until they were on the brink of passing out, and then they'd let them get their air back a little bit, and then once they'd start to struggle, or they'd put it back on them to where it was just pure torture. And a lot of what it is, there are two reasons why they did this. Was one, to protect the business. So if somebody flunked out of wrestling school, they go tell all their friends, man, these guys are legit tough guys. Like, you couldn't believe what they did to me in there. And I mean, anybody who does this. And the other thing, they're kind of testing these kids' will to see if you can't hang with this, you ain't going to make it far in this business anyway. There's no point teaching you anything.
Yeah. And then that's the thing. They wanted to see who was going to come back for some more.
Well, in those days too, the guy that trained you had to answer for you. So like if Ole went out and stank up the place, people be saying to Dick the Bruiser or Vern Gagne, like, what did you send out here? And it was the same in Ole's day when Ole would send people out into the territories. If he had his name, he trained you. He wasn't sending you anywhere unless you were going to do his name good.
And if you did his name bad, he might find you and beat your ass.
Correct.
And they did do stuff like that back in those days, and they may still, I don't know, get you in the locker room and keep you up in the corner and beat that ass.
Well, in 1967, when he jumps in, the business is radically different by the time you get to 2024. It's unrecognizable.
Right. Well, I'm going to move to the next slide here. All right. By 1968 through 1970, Ole wrestled in the Carolinas for the Jim Crockett Promotions, where he developed his character and was presented as a brother to Gene and Lars Anderson. And they were billed as, and a lot of people were talking about this in the chat earlier, the Minnesota Wrecking Crew. Tell us about the Minnesota Wrecking Crew, Johnson.
Well, when they first bring him in, the truth be told, Ole's not a blood brother Anderson. So he has a different name that he was wrestling under. And when he comes in, he liked the idea of being an Anderson. You're tied to this, magnificent wrestling family. You got street cred coming in the door with something like that. So, but he was wondering what his name was going to be. And then they told him Ole, and he figured, okay, it's a Minnesota thing, it'd be the Norwegian Ole. He thought it was a rib. They were picking on him. And he didn't realize that was going to be his name until he walked to the ring and heard the announcer say, "Hey, Lars and Gene Anderson with their brother Ole Anderson." He's like, well, that's my name now. Fuck it.
Vern, says Mike Fee. Bjorn said Vern was a legit amateur wrestler, but they basically tortured him until they gave up or continued and stretch him, says Johnny Sorensen. The Anderson wrestling family, quote unquote, is one of the greatest, and the Wrecking Crew was great, and Arn looked like Ole a lot, said Mike Fee, and he did. And Nightwing brings up Kurt Hennig, Mr. Perfect. All right, cool. Go ahead.
Yeah, a lot of these guys came out of that. They came out of that Vern Gagne School of Hard Knocks, and they did turn a lot of stars that were named in there. A lot of stars.
You ready for the next slide, sir?
You got it.
All right. Let me see if I can move that along here. There we go. There's our Minnesota Wrecking Crew. We got Lars, Gene, Ole, Bryant, Arn, and Brad. This rough and tumble group competed in many six-man and traditional tag team matches, an art lost in this generation. I agree with that statement. Had various member changes throughout the years by family members, real or made up. So tell us who's real and who's not in that lineup that you made for us up there.
Ole and his son Bryant aren't really Andersons. You know, they're contrived. The nature of wrestling, it's so funny being a fan. You know, I mean, some of us grew up thinking Kane was really the Undertaker's brother. You know, and I'm sad to tell you, you know, Rick and Scott Steiner are probably not really named Rick and Scott Steiner. You know what I mean? It's a lot of this is kind of hard to pick what's what. So as far as I know, Arn and Gene are Andersons, but I'm not too sure about the rest of them. Maybe Lars.
What about Lars? I thought Lars and Gene were real.
Bjorn saying Gene was the only actual Anderson. The rest of them were contrived, and I wouldn't surprise me. I can't claim with 100% certainty that I know. You know, that's just the nature of the wrestling business.
Four Horsemen. I think we're going to get to that. You got to slide on the Four Horsemen here. I haven't looked at the slides yet, folks. So I'm kind of going through these kind of cold here. Joneser made these right before the show. So Ole was so effective as a heel wrestler. A fan actually stabbed him. Well, I heard about that. He hooked him with a hook knife and I don't know, 17 stitches all from here all the way down.
Yeah.
Ole had a matching promo and many fans. Many fans stated when he spoke to the camera, he had a way of making it feel personal, like he was speaking to them directly. And then there's a newspaper article about him getting stabbed down there, and I'll leave it on the screen for a minute.
Yeah, no.
Don the Barber. Hold on. Don the Barber, I haven't seen you before, sir. Please subscribe if you haven't already. Thank you, sir. Welcome to the show. The WCW power plant basically mimicked the training routines of what these guys used to put the new talent through. Yeah, I've heard about some horror stories about what they did in the power plant. Go ahead, Joneser. Sorry to interrupt.
Oh, you're fine. Yeah, the power plant, Ole, I think, even worked there for a little while, you know, training wrestlers and whatnot. But they weren't allowed to do in the newer generation of the things that he did in the older generation. You know, like he trained Al Snow. There's a famous story where Al Snow went through the whole, you know, the head guy, Al Snow. His big first wrestling school where anyone would teach him was Ole Anderson. Lucky him, where they did the same thing they did to Ole. They blew him up, beat him up, put him in the ring, hooked him. And Al tells a humorous version of this, whereas they're trying to yell at him, tell him to give up, and they're getting mad because he won't give up, and he wants to give up, but they've got their fingers in his mouth, and they got his, and he can't physically, you know, he's just done. So he's trying to, and then they're taking it as disrespect, and they're just tearing him apart even more. They want to, Ole is trying to hook his eye out, and they're grabbing him by the balls, and then he's trying to grab Ole by the balls, and it's this crazy story. You'd have to look it up. I'm sure there's
I've heard some of that. I've heard some of that because I've seen interviews with Al Snow where he talks about what they put him through. And he earned his bones the hard way, that's for sure. Lars Anderson's real name is Larry Heinemai. Okay.
So I'm going to assume that Bjorn's done his homework here better than I have, and that
he's probably Googling this stuff as we speak.
Yeah. So Gene's the only legit Anderson, which makes sense. But I know they're a generational. I think if you go back to the 50s, you're going to see their father rolling around.
All right. I'm going to turn the auto off on this for just a minute. I'm going to bring up an earlier statement here by Mike Fee, who says, in my opinion, no tag team was better than the Legion of Doom and the Steiner brothers. Would you agree or disagree with that statement there?
Depends on what you're looking for. Now, if you're looking for a team that's over, whereas the fans are in it, The Legion of Doom's pretty up there. Even the Steiners are pretty up there. But the argument I would make against why would the Midnight Express not be better than both of them? And I'll tell you why. The Midnight Express made other teams look good and look good themselves. The Legion of Doom really could only make themselves look good. And I'd have to say the same for the Steiners. The Legion of Doom, most of their matches is just them clotheslining and suplexing and body slamming and flipping the other guys around and no selling everything the other team does. And that's just basically the match.
Gene was the only real Anderson. Like you said, he's probably done his homework a lot better than we have tonight. So we'll acquiesce to you there, Bjorn. Thank you for helping out the show like that. The Midnight Express is my favorite tag team, says Bjorn Jorgensen. And Don the Barber here says he disagrees. He thinks that Demolition and Midnight Express are the best tag teams. I think you were talking about Midnight Express.
Well, the matches the Midnight Express and the Rock and Roll Express had are just they're just great to watch back even today, you know, and the rivalry those two teams had, and the clear-cut babyface, clear-cut heels, Jim Cornette interfering. I mean, this stuff's just gold.
Well, and like you said, they had the ability to not only make themselves look good, but make the other team look good as well. And Johnny Sorensen says the new Irish Express, Mark Lennon, greatest of all time. All right. Here, I'm going to pull up our next slide here as we continue our little slideshow that Joneser has presented to us. Ole Anderson, laying down, could not take me out with a steel-toed boot, could not put me away with a steel-toed boot. And I'm going to say it right now and get it through your head, both of you. Ole Anderson and Ian Koloff, this thing would never be over. And probably the greatest feud in one of many of wrestling historians today claim, if you wish to draw money in wrestling, watch this. Fans were literally trying to climb into the cage to get the dastardly Ole Anderson as he turned on Dusty Rhodes. Hey, figuratively speaking, don't worry, you're not late. You're right on time because that's when you got here. All right. I actually have pulled up some footage from this, and we'll have to dance around this a little bit, but I think we can get away with it. So as I leave this for just a second right where it is, let me go over here to this screen here, and I will pull it up over here. And hey, Toy Mama, what's going on? Good to see you. Figuratively speaking, says a 13-and-a-half-hour day. Exhausted. I bet, man. I bet. All right, so here we go. I'm going to play a little bit of this and then stop it, and we'll see how far we can go with it.
Not from you.
Well,
you're going to get it.
Bernie, thank you very much. Ole Anderson, of course,
There's no place for football players. Somebody trying to block him. They don't have to block him. He's not good enough to beat.
I don't know how well that's playing. Let me know there in the chat, folks, how well that's playing. We'll stop it for just a second. Demolition was a ripoff of the Legion of Doom. Vince had to have a tag team like LOD, and the Powers of Pain came along. Is that playing well? Can you hear the sound? I know the video is kind of, the frame rate's low on that, and that's kind of purposeful, and it helps me. But is the sound coming through okay is what I'm asking. What about you, Jonah? Are you hearing that on your end?
I hear it fine from here, yeah.
What about the movement on that? Are you seeing it skippy, or is it moving fine for you?
It was a little skippy to me, but
yeah, the frame rate's really, really low, and that's just the nature of the beast. Let me check the chat here and see if anybody said anything here. It's choppy. What about the sound there, John? That's what I'm concerned about. I'm not really concerned about the video as much as the sound. Ron Simmons is awesome, and the sound is messed up, says Mike Fee. Okay, so the sound's messed up on that. We may not be able to show that. It was choppy at first, she says. Also, Rick Steiner's last name is Reichensteiner. Yeah, we knew that. That's why they changed it to Steiner. Kind of a
Sounds
myth.
like farting.
Sounds like farting. C64 noises. That sounds like I hope it doesn't sound like a modem. Hey, Eldor, hadn't seen you in a while, man. Good to see you. Straight from eternity, our buddy Eldor's joined us here. Let me refresh this real quick, and I'm going to go back and start this back up again. We'll see how well it goes here. Maybe I can bring it down like this right here. Maybe it'll do better. I don't know. We'll see.
A wrestler doesn't belong and shouldn't get his chance.
Let me try this. Let's get it down to 144p. That might help a little bit.
Why don't you be quiet for about 2 seconds and let me talk and say something? You know, you're talking about a leopard doesn't change his spots. You're exactly right. The leopards don't change their spots, and there's awfully good reasons. Dusty Rhodes himself was the one that said it could never be over.
All right, so I'm going to skip it ahead a little here because we got Dusty Rhodes. He's fixing to get Dusty Rhodes on the screen, and he's going to do that.
Well,
much better.
Play it here, Bill. But before you play it here, I wanted to touch on something. It kind of pertains to the slide here and the slide from before. You can hear that crowd just screaming, I Ole, and they're all incensed and angered. And I don't know if people today can get the kind of heat that like Ole could generate in there. I mean, somebody actually thought of this. Like they didn't. Wrestling's fake, right? These people believed in it so much they stabbed him. They took a knife and stabbed him as they believe he's real, you know.
All right, Cecilia, it says the voice is off and the video is choppy. The video is going to be choppy. I'm hoping that and their lips are not going to move to the voice. I understand that. I'm hoping that you can hear the promo though more and kind of think of this as more or less like a slideshow as bring the frame rate down.
We're trying to skirt around YouTube's these little don't steal this thing or whatever.
Yeah, pretty much. And that's kind of why it was Studio Wrestling, says Bjorn. Yes. All right, here we go.
I told you this thing will never be over. It will never be over. Both of them. They both of them will run up around. I can't stand it because the other one's always jumping in. Koloff, you broke your chain. You broke your chain. Whipping with a chain. Ole Anderson laying down. Could not take me out with a steel-toe boot. Could not put me away.
Could not take me out with a steel-toe boot. Could not put me away. Now, the video looks horrible here. You can't see him, but he's all beat the fuck up in this with like a big old black eye and everything, isn't he there, Joneser?
Yeah, when this happened in the steel cage. The fans were literally jumping the rails and trying to climb into the steel cage and save Dusty Rhodes. That's how much they believed in this, you know. And Dusty was one of the hottest. I mean, if you want to talk about charisma and the fan favorite, I mean, him and Hulk Hogan around this era are like, I mean, right neck and neck. I mean, people don't realize how big Dusty Rhodes was at this time.
Yeah. Bjorn says the Hard Times promo was probably the best promo ever done, especially by Dusty Rhodes, and I agree with that. I actually played that one time on the show and got my that video blocked in certain foreign countries by the WWE. So hopefully that doesn't happen tonight because we're commentating on this video as we play it. And as you can see, I've got all kinds of watermarks over the screen to try to cover it up a little bit. And we're kind of playing a little bit and then stopping it and playing a little bit and stopping it, fucking up with the frame rate and all that kind of stuff, turning it into mush so we can get an idea of what's going on without me getting ID struck or getting banned in Pakistan and all that kind of shit.
Banned in Pakistan. You play wrestling video, you don't play wrestling video.
Believe it or not, that's what happens, brother. Hey, Shaitan's Hammer, what's happening, man? Hello, hello. Good to see you. Don't see you at night very often. Good to see you, sir. I'm hard at work trying to think of what I'm going to do tomorrow, but right now we're doing Ole Anderson here. And Rolando Flores is busy helping everybody out by putting their links up. If you haven't subscribed to some of these people, please consider that. Dusty was the dream, says figuratively speaking, John. Agree with that. All right, here, I'm going to play some more of Dusty here talking out his ass here. It's funny as hell.
With a steel toe boot, and I'm going to say this right now and get it through your head until you have a broken back, until you have a broken neck, until your bodies are broken and beaten. Both of you, this thing will never be over.
Well,
This day will never be over.
This was the highlight of Ole's career for sure. Was probably right here. This was probably the apex. This is the thing he's the most remembered for, far as his in-ring work. You know,
now I could play some more of this video because Ole's fixing to speak here. Do you want me to play some of that before we move on?
A little bit, because Ole's as good as Dusty is for being the hero. Ole is great at just being a piece of garbage. And, you know, I mean, we've heard people like The Rock, or, you know, when Rock was doing heel promos, or, you know, Ric Flair's heel promos hit on a different wavelength. But Ole just has something that you just don't see anymore, where he's just in. Nowadays, they try to do the heels like they're kind of cool, so they're kind of great. Ole is a black hat villain. There is nothing redeeming. I mean, it's gold.
All right, so I'm going to go back over here and start this back up again, and we'll play a little bit more, and we'll listen to him being an absolute piece of garbage. Mike V says this grudge match was great. I loved it. Bjorn says, now I'm going to have to watch my War Games DVD later. Hey, yeah, you are. All right, here we go. Let's listen to him being a heel here, a piece of garbage.
proved it would never be over last Sunday night at the Omni, sir.
Dusty Rhodes' own words, it'll never be over. Well, I remembered all the time. I had to sit there and just go out of my mind when Tommy Rich was in my corner. Stan Hansen was in my corner. Tony Atlas, all of those people. I had to stand there and be with every one of them. See what happened to Dusty.
We don't want to hear it. You're going to have to hear it.
It's great. It's great. I mean, can you imagine? I mean, this was unheard of. You know, I mean, nowadays they just yell what.
This is beautiful heel work. That's not go away heat. That is heel heat, Jack.
He knew how to draw money.
These people are going to come back week after week after week to finally see him get his.
Correct. No,
he
knew how to get him to
straight up chaotic evil. Yeah. Absolutely. All right, let me start this back up again.
See what happened to Dusty Rhodes.
We're going to take a look at Brutus right now. Brutus in action here. The match is underway at the Omni. And Dusty Rhodes.
All right. I'm gonna stop that right there before we get got. And there are two types of heat, says Bjorn. That's correct. There's go away heat and there's heel heat. And go away heat is the wrong kind of heat to have, because that's we're not booing you for your excellent heel work. We're booing you because we just want you to leave and never ever be seen here again and never come back.
Well, I'm going to disagree just a little bit. I'm going to add a third option. Yeah, there are 3 types of heat. There's the go away heat, there's the heel heat, and then there's the we're going to bring a weapon to the ring or climb the cage or wait for you in the parking lot heat. And Ole had all of that.
Yeah, I can see that. And yes, Bjorn, go away heat is something you don't want. That's bad heat. All right, so who do we have here? We have the 2 assassins plus Koloff, right?
Yep.
And we've got Dusty Rhodes and who else?
I cannot remember. From what I remember from the setup here, and it's been a while since I've watched it, but Ole was probably for the one time in his career is actually starting to become babyface or helping Dusty, or he's supposed to be helping Dusty, and this is where he turned on him.
Yes. All right, so let's play a little more of this.
And all of a sudden, Koloff starts interfering in this situation. Gene Anderson, who is one of the referees, and it's Dusty Rhodes battling all by himself. Where were you at this point, sir?
I was waiting for my spot, and here it comes. You look, you watch, you watch. I had to be a little careful because I didn't want everybody else jumping me. But Rhodes was right where I wanted him, right on his backside. When I was kicking that...
There you go. So, and so Gene was actually the referee in here, right?
Yeah. This whole thing was like a setup, really, because what ends up happening is everybody in the ring turns on poor Dusty, and Dusty's reused this gimmick throughout his career where he does the, he's bleeding and looking at the crowd and he's just getting demolished by an impossible situation, and where he's betrayed by his own partner. And he's come back to this a few times because this is the best he ever was, and so of course he's going to go back to this.
So they all turned on him, and they're beating the shit out of him, kicking him and punching him.
That face, and I said, Dusty, you remember you said it better than anybody else. It'll never be over until somebody's out of this business. And right there, you see Dusty Rhodes down.
Well, even Gene getting in on it. I mean, everybody, even the referee turns on him, and he's locked in this steel cage, and you can't do anything about it. You're helpless. You're watching your hero get the shit whooped out of him.
Right. And the fans were just, I don't know. It's a different time, because you do this now and then someone just changes the channel and there's 3 people in the audience texting. And people just aren't as engaged as this anymore.
Miss Deborah has joined us. She says, hi, Bill. Hi, Joneser. And Bjorn Organ says, a fun fact about Ric Flair. He was actually an Anderson for a couple of matches in 1977 and was also going to be a relative of Dusty Rhodes. Neither one panned out, thank God. Neither one panned out, and everybody's saying hey to each other. As I go back and play a little more of this, tell me when to stop this because it's it's a 10-minute.
I'll say you can just kind of fast forward here a little bit and see if there's even anything more we need to get into. I'd love to see there.
Let's see what he has.
Play some of that
on the screen.
Yeah, play some of this.
Here.
And that's why Gene Anderson hasn't been here for a year, because he couldn't stomach the idea of me being in the ring with a guy like Tommy Rich or Stan Hansen or now our own brother Lars, Mr. Do-Gooder, Mr. Sir Galahad. I'll tell you what, why don't you give us a little relief? Go home or shut up or do both.
Well, I think it's time we listen to some comments.
I just want, you just take a look, because even Koloff didn't know what I had in mind. Take a look. He was completely fooled, as was every...
Pretty much the crowd just talking back to him and everything. Nightwing says,
he's got such a he's got such a like even as a young man, because he's not old here, and he's got this old man shut your mouth and get off my lawn, and he just imbibes that spirit of that.
Absolutely. So going back to our presentation here, we kind of got a pretty good idea of what was going on there. So let me move to the next slide here in our little slideshow and see what you have cooked up for us on this slide. Here now we're going to talk about the Four Horsemen. Tell us who these guys are there, Jones, or the original Four Horsemen.
The original four were Tully Blanchard, Ole Anderson, Arn Anderson, Ric Flair, and their manager, which was come on, we all know his name. It's escaping me, but he was around in WCW as a booker or agent or whatever in the 90s. He was money man in WWF for a while. God, I can't remember his name. JJ Dillon. Thank you, Bjorn. JJ Dillon was the manager. And that's the original Four Horsemen. Now, the group had many changes throughout the years and different members cycling through, but this was the original, the core. To me, when I think the Four Horsemen, I think of that photo, these guys.
So, from left to right, name out who's in this photo.
Well, we've got Arn right there, and then there's Tully Blanchard, and then there's JJ Dillon, or Ole. I'm sorry, Arn was on the other side, and then Ric Flair there on the end.
So we got Ole, and then Tully Blanchard, JJ Dillon, Arn, and Ric Flair, right?
Right. And I just love Ole's face in this photo, because this is just total, heel looking at you, yeah, what you gonna do about it? He just in a total bully. It was awesome.
All right, so let me get to the next slide here. How many slides is in this? 13. Okay, we're on 6. All right, so we're about halfway done.
Bjorn brings a comment here. When they got put into the Hall of Fame, it sucks that Ole wasn't introduced in with the Horsemen into the Hall of Fame, and some of that's kind of Ole's fault, because Ole never really got on well with the McMahons or WWF wrestling and in general, any of that. And I do believe that people reached out to him and started to ask him questions, and he came, of course, classic old Ole Anderson, just what? Well, you don't know that? Oh, well, you're a stupid fuck. Well, if you're a stupid fuck and you're the one running the Hall of Fame, then the Hall of Fame ain't worth a shit, and I don't want to be in it. That's just who he was.
There was a famous interaction between him and Vince McMahon. I heard about that. Can you help me on? I can't remember exactly what the exchange was.
Yeah, and again, this is classic Ole Anderson. Vince McMahon introduces himself. If Vince had famously bought up all the wrestling territories here, it's Black Saturday, and Ole's business partners have sold the territory and the tapes, and he's got to kind of watch McMahon take it all, and he's upset about it. And Vince comes up, finds Ole, sticks his hand out. Oh, hey, Ole, I'm Vince McMahon. This is my wife, Linda. And Ole's answer to that is, oh, okay, you and your wife can go fuck yourselves.
Now, was that from purely from the heart there from Ole?
Oh, guaranteed. And it's funny because later in his book, he goes, I don't regret saying that, but looking at where the money in the wrestling business went after that, what I should have said is, oh, hey, Vince, yeah, nice to meet you. You're the smartest guy I've ever seen in my life. How much money do I get?
Yeah. He kind of felt like Vince ruined it for everybody, didn't he?
He did. And in fact, Ole had it's funny because time has kind of proven him right in a lot of the things he said. One of the things he argued, I think he was arguing with David Meltzer, which if you can get a hold of the interview of David Meltzer and Ole Anderson, it is one of the most awkward, fucked up things to listen to, where the guy's just giving shit to the interviewer mercilessly. But anyway, I'm getting sidetracked. But in this interview, they're arguing about wrestling, where it was, where it is, where it's going. And Ole's like, well, back in the day, thousands of people made a living doing wrestling. Now only maybe 100, if even that. He said wrestling went from something that was everywhere to now it's only just in one place. And yeah, maybe it got bigger than it's ever got in the one place it got, but it was ruined everywhere else.
And he's not wrong. That's I kind of feel the same way about it. You know, it had territories, and everybody was making money. And little guys were making money, big guys were making money, depending upon where you went. What the output was. But when Vince destroyed all of that, now it was all centered in Connecticut, and it kind of we'll come to your town someday and maybe give you a little taste of it. I remember the WWF used to do these house shows that would go around, and they would get all the B-listers and Z team guys to come out there and kind of give you a little bit of the taste of what it would be like if you could afford to go to New York City and see them in Madison Square Garden.
Well, Ole was smart in the sense too that he understood the territory system and he understood how to work it. And what he would do with it is, especially where they were working every night, going down the road. I mean, they were 30 miles away running the next town. They were running the loop. They were doing shows 4 times a month, what have you, you know. I mean, they were, so you couldn't be repetitive.
Yes. Well, you could, because what you could do is you could play one gimmick here until it played out. Then you could go, like, say, Memphis, but then you could take it to Florida and you could play it for Florida, because back in those days there wasn't a lot of chatter between fans in different territories, so that would be new to the people in Florida, where it's already played out at, say, in Memphis or in Mid-South down there in Louisiana. But let me play devil's advocate. Maybe Vince could see a little bit of the future, and he knew that wouldn't work in today's world because too many people are in the know and there's too many dirt sheets, and the dirt sheets are online now.
So well, they weren't quite in 1984 or whenever it was when he perpetrated this, but it was all headed that way. You're correct. The dirt sheets were a thing. But yeah, Ole was just big on if you had a limited person, like, say, Hulk Hogan. Ole was one of the first people to get a look at Hulk Hogan. This is one of the famous things. Bruce Hart calls Ole and he says, hey, I got this kid, because these territories, the guys that would run them, they'd talk to each other and they'd move talent around, because if talent got tired where they were, they'd move. Say he was tired in Oregon, well, then they'd move him to Florida where he was fresh. And so they'd move these people around to kind of keep the shine on them. Well, Ole gets turned on to Hulk Hogan, and Bruce Hart calls his Ole, I got this kid. Oh, he looks great. He's got the body of a Greek god. He's $1 million, you know. I mean, Ole's like, oh, that's great. Can he wrestle? And then of course Bruce Hart, you know, oh yeah, he's got a good look. He's real young, you know. I mean, he's 6 foot plus muscles. Yeah, fine. Can he wrestle? Yeah, he's just a completely marketable. And then he's just like, all right, whatever, send him to me. And he's like, the guy didn't know anything. He didn't know how to do nothing. And he said he used him a couple times and then he just sent him away. And he said he called Vince Sr. or whoever it was at the time. And Ole was like, I ended up doing the same stupid thing that Bruce did to me, where, oh, hey, I got this guy, you know, he looks like $1 million, you know, can he wrestle? And well, he's got a real good look. And he's it's just kind of funny that it was sold to him that way. And he ended up having to sell him that way to get him down the road. But then he said, in famous Ole Anderson style, you know, then he got sent to Vern, and anything Hulk Hogan knew about wrestling, he learned from Vern, and that was it.
Well, let me catch up the chat here, because I couldn't see it until I pulled it up on the other screen here. It says, Bjorn says that's probably why he isn't in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah,
could be now that he's gone. Maybe he'll have a chance. Has anybody watched the new movie Iron Claw? As Mr. Poe says, I'm waiting for it to come down in price a bit. I haven't seen it yet. When it comes to Voodoo, I might. Hogan came through Memphis. He absolutely did. And Hogan was one of the great wrestling personalities. Not the greatest wrestler, though. He did some okay stuff over in Japan. Let's get off of Hogan for a minute and get back to Ole here. Let me come over here. And Ole continued to anger fans and work as a great heel until the 1990s. And who is that announcer there with him? We've seen him earlier in the video. Is that who I think it is? Who is that?
Gordon Sully?
Gordon Soleil, that's right. Okay, I figured that's who that was. Now, I didn't get to see a lot of him. See, I didn't watch Georgia Championship Wrestling in my day. I've seen some of this stuff since. I remember one time I went to my sister's house and they had TBS. And TBS used to show some wrestling from the Omni occasionally on there, I remember. Oh, here we go. Ole, throughout his career, worked as a booker and in the creative development of wrestling promotions, very famously coming up with the Black Scorpion angle for Sting in WCW. Ole also provided the voice. I actually have some video of this. Let's see if I can play it. You want to hear that?
Yeah. Before you do, though, I want to give kind of some backstory, some setup for this Black Scorpion character.
Sure.
Now, a lot of people may remember him, may not, but what was happening is Jim Herd. I don't know if you've heard the name Jim Herd.
Oh, yeah, I've heard that.
Jim Herd was famously running WCW, and Ole got the book. And Jim Herd didn't like the way Ole was booking the matches. He's like, your card sucks. So you this sucks. He kept complaining about it. And Ole, out of pure frustration, went into the back and wrote down Sting versus the Black Scorpion and then filled out the rest of the card. And then he hands it in to Jim Herd, and here's Ole. Oh, here's how stupid this guy is. He goes, now you know what you're doing. Now it looks good. He's like, he doesn't even know who the fuck a Black Scorpion is or what, and neither did Ole. So Ole completely contrived this whole thing to solve a problem they had. They were lacking depth in heel, and they didn't have any heels that they wanted Sting to tarnish. So they had to come up with somebody that they could, kind of like how we did with Virgil or Vincent. We had to get somebody we could mess with without messing with them. And so he created this ghost from Sting's past that was going to mess with him. And he's a mysterious, the Black Scorpion, which is funny because to Ole, it was a stupid idea, but it was his. He was, this is just a bunch of stupid shit, but it was my stupid shit. And then it got over.
Yeah. Well, that's a testament to Ole, because his ability to get something over, right?
Right.
And everybody told me it was Gordon Soleil in the chat. Thank you, guys. Yeah. Nightwing says WWF was big on superstars. NWA was better at wrestling, and to me, that was the difference. What do you think about that comment?
I'm sorry, I missed it.
Nightwing.
WWF was big on superstars. NWA was bigger on wrestling. Correct. The WWF at the time was like cartoon characters, and whereas the legitimate stuff was more on the other stuff.
Let me see if I can play this. I want to bring the let me bring the settings down to 144p here, and let's see if it'll play.
And this week on the Wrestling Wrap-Up, we're going to be hearing some comments from the mysterious Black Scorpion, the man that this man, the World Heavyweight Champion Sting, has signed to defend his championship against live here on TBS on September 5th. Sting, do you know anything about this man? And if not, how are you preparing to wrestle him?
Well,
I'm going to skip ahead just a little bit here.
Yeah.
Sting's gonna talk and talk.
Yeah, we don't need all that. We just need when this starts.
Sting, are you listening?
Well, wait a minute. That voice sounds awful familiar. We'll get to that in a minute. Let's go on.
Of course you are. You're too much of
That music in the background, isn't that ominous?
When I was a kid, this guy scared the crap out of me. I was like, that's a black scorpion, you know. And it was the music. I think it was the smoke, the darkness, just the whole ambiance of the whole thing. It just really, I don't know. And I was probably 9 years old when I was watching this, so this was
now is Bjorn correct? Was Ric Flair the in-ring Black Scorpion?
We will get to that. At this point in the story, it is a mystery who the Black Scorpion is. But yeah, okay, that will be addressed.
I am going to destroy you. A long time has passed since you last saw me. Oh yes, you know me. Or at least you did. But don't try to track me down. It won't help.
Now, did he script this or did he do this right off the top of his head? Was he pulling this straight out of his ass?
You know, I don't know. But Ole could... the stuff... Even Ole's stupid ideas were great ideas. You know, and even Ole admitted himself, this is a stupid shit, but it was my stupid shit. But I don't know. It worked in so many different ways. You know, it got the job done, and it got Sting an interesting villain that he needed. That way, it addressed a problem that they were having in the promotion. They had nobody to challenge Sting, and maybe this guy didn't in-ring challenge him at first. It was more just the you know, the menacing.
Yeah, this promo goes on for another minute and a half. Is it necessary to play the whole thing, do you think, Jones, or can we move on?
No, we're getting kind of the this up all day long because this just makes me laugh.
Well, you know, and I could play the whole thing and get got, but I think that this is fair use. We're commentating over it, and we've shown just a few clips of it. All of this stuff's available on YouTube. That's where I'm pulling this from, folks. So if you want to watch this for yourself, please go find these promos and watch these if you want to get the full story on that. But let me go over here and do some prep work here for the next, and we'll move on to the next slide unless we have some more Black Scorpion stories to tell here. Do we need to tell about Ric Flair being the Black Scorpion? You said we were going to get to that.
Well, I think it's in this. I think the next slides will address that.
Okay. Here we go. Ole's plan was to give Sting a heel villain that the WCW could throw away as the roster had lacked depth. So an interesting villain was contrived, and there he is in a hood and a robe. I mean, we've seen this gimmick before, but was this the first time they'd ever done this kind of thing?
No, not really. And several different wrestlers performed as the Black Scorpion. I cannot remember the first guy's name, but there were a few different people that did it. And that was the whole beauty of it. And even Ole said, you know, well, we could just put it on any idiot and send him out there.
He's probably right about that. Okay. Let's see what we got next here. All right. The Black Scorpion was portrayed by a variety of wrestlers. Ultimately, Ole was fired, and Dusty finished the story playing it off as Ric Flair was the Black Scorpion, which was never Ole's intention. So we had a variety of different people, and Ric Flair ended up being the last one, or the one that was revealed.
Yeah, and that wasn't where Ole was going to go with it. He did a shoot interview where they asked him if you got to end it, how would you have ended it? And he said, I don't freaking know. So he didn't have much of a plan for where this was going or what he was doing with it, really. He did say that it was going to be a red herring. The guy was going to be unmasked in the ring, and then all of a sudden behind on the video, you're going to, Sting, you thought you unmasked me, but that was my disciple. And then it would just continue, That
would have been good. That would have been a good thing to do right there if you can continue it. Mike B says, I can't believe Ric Flair beat Vader for the belt. I was pissed. Vader should have been the Black Scorpion, and then he's laughing about that. Miss Debbie
it was so funny because
Radical Toys in the house. Hey, what's going on there? Good to see you. Hello, all. Joneser's handsome voice woke me up on Christina's phone.
Well, when Ric Flair came out as the Black Scorpion, a chance in the crowd were going, Nature Boy, Nature Boy. Like nobody was fooled. Ric Flair had a distinctive walk and body and face, and everybody understood that was who it was the second he walked out there. If they would have put it on Vader, it would have been the same thing. Everybody would have known it was Vader right away. Or if they would have put it on Cactus Jack, who I think was there at the time, they'd have known by the way he walks to the ring that that's who it is.
All right. And Radical Toy said, you sound like Dr. Claw.
I'll get you, Gadget.
Like I said, that voice sounds familiar. We're going to get to that, I think, before this is all over with. Oh, my God. Yeah, here it is. Right here, folks. The Shockmaster. Ole also provided the voice for wrestling's most famous or infamous on-air live botch. This is probably the biggest wrestle fail that I've ever seen in my life. Is there worse than this, Joneser?
I don't know. Especially for like the opposite of what it was supposed to be. Like what they were originally hoping is this guy was going to come running through the wall like the Kool-Aid man. He's going to make a bazillion-dollar entrance. Everybody is going to be shocked at the Shockmaster, and he's going to look like $1 million, and it's going to work. And that's 1,000% what didn't happen.
I've seen that figure, Bjorn, and I thought, I didn't know it was a San Diego Comic-Con exclusive. I think he's actually upside down in the package, and he's got his back to you. I want that figure so damn bad, but I'm not paying the money it's probably going for. All right, so I've got the Shockmaster pulled up here. I don't know how much of this I can show, but this has to be seen to be believed, folks. This is probably the stupidest gimmick I've ever seen in my life. And it was a complete botch. And I'm going to bring that video down from 720 to 144, and let's see how this plays out here.
As promised. Hey, no. Get a shut your thinking mouth.
All right, who all showing up here? First of all, before we get this, we got Sting. Is that Davey Boy?
Yep.
We got Sid Vicious. Who else is walking in on the scene here?
That was Booker T. The Harlem Heat guys were there, and
Okay.
I want to say that was he was Tennessee Lee or whatever before. What's that guy's name? Anyway, the guy in the cowboy hat.
Yeah. And then we got, of course, Ric Flair here. They spray painted a Stormtrooper helmet and put it on glitter on it. And, of course, he couldn't see. And I think Dusty told the story. Let's move on here. Let's see what happened here. Let me see how much of this I need to skip ahead to. Because they talk and 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 they talk. Blah, blah. Here we go.
And it's the setup because there's a mystery tag team partner for the babyface team.
Yeah.
Is what this is supposed to be.
Right.
Shaq! Master! Right. The Shaq! I told you. Oh, God.
Look how quiet it is.
I don't care who you are, boy. I don't give a
And look, he's trying to,
who you are.
because he's supposed to. What comes later.
Yeah, it's like a bad kung fu movie. He's sitting there doing all the hand gestures like he's talking, and then nothing coming out. So then they cut real quick over there to Sid Vicious, who tries to cover it up. And Bjorn's like, you can hear Davey Boy Smith saying he fell on his arse.
He fell on his arse. Oh, he fell on his arse. Oh, God.
What was it? Dusty told the story about that. Who was that underneath the mask, first of all? That's like who?
Well, that's Dusty's cousin, I think, and it's Tugboat or whatever he was in WWF.
Yeah, Tugboat there. Okay, so he comes out, and that was a breakaway wall, and I don't know if they rehearsed that or not. But one of the stagehands in their infinite wisdom decided that it was a little bit too wobbly there. So he decided to put another brace up there, and the brace was right across where his shins or his knees would have been coming through that. And he couldn't see, and he didn't know. So when he broke through the wall, he was supposed to break through and there'd be nothing for him to trip on. But now there was, because he didn't know it was there. And bloom, he fell over, his mask fell off, and he had to put it back on. Yeah, that was Tugboat Typhoon when he went to WCW. Yeah.
And now the gimmick is dead in the water from the moment it hit.
Yeah, he looked like an idiot, and now it's not going to have any kind of shock and awe at all. It's going to have everybody laughing their ass off, which you could hear the guys in the background trying not to laugh their ass off.
Well, it's awkward, quiet. As soon as he hits, the silence is the loudest thing, because this is supposed to be the moment. It's a Shockmaster, and instead it's just quiet.
Yeah, it was a brace on the very, very bottom that he didn't know was going to be there because it wasn't there before. And of course, you got. I don't have it pulled up, and I'm not gonna, but you got to hear Dusty's when he talks about this and tells us the story behind the scene. We'll play a little bit more of this, but if you want to hear or see this great botch, you got to see it for yourself. But listen to this shit.
You've ruled the world long enough, Sid Vicious. Get ready. Come on, you want a piece of me? You want a piece of me? Come and get me. Come after me, Sid.
Yeah, that's about enough of that. But yeah, you get the idea. That was supposed to have been like the Scorpion over again, but it fucked up real bad. One extra two before messed it all up.
Yeah.
And isn't that the case? That the case?
Let's be honest. Do you think this thing, even if it would have went without a hitch, do you think this guy would have been the next big hit here?
No.
I think the helmet.
And the reason I don't is because look at the production values on this costume here. What's he? Big fat guy. What's he got on? Some kind of robe of some sort that doesn't even come around the front of him. He got his old belly hanging out. And that's obviously a fucking stormtrooper mask. And I think everybody knew that.
Well, to me, there's a few problems with the gimmick besides the visual. Eventually, like if you look at Kane's mask or Mankind's mask or even Rey Mysterio's, your mask, it goes in the ring with you and you have to wrestle in it. How is this dude going to wrestle in that?
Now, did he wrestle in that? No, I think he took it off and had something on underneath it. Is that the case? I don't remember.
I cannot remember.
No, I don't think. Yeah, he can't wrestle in that because look, they play printed the down glitter across where the eye holes are. He can't see out of that. That's black to him. Now he's seeing absolutely jack. He's blind. So yeah, if he wrestled with that damn thing, well, first of all, it's not buckled to his head, so you know,
right?
He wouldn't have been a hit, but at least it wouldn't have been dead in the water. Yeah, mate. Yeah, it wouldn't have been. It wouldn't have been dead on arrival, right? DOA. But yeah, I don't know where that would have gone. Envision us there, Jones. Or tell us what it could have been on this.
I think it could have gone exactly where it went. It had got through the pay-per-view and then it was just done. If we do want to talk about what could have been, now Ole had a creative mind. Even his bad ideas usually were pretty memorable, if anything. Imagine a world where Ole did say to Vince McMahon, hey, man, you're the smartest guy I've ever seen. How much money do I make? He goes into WWE at creative for the Attitude Era. Imagine what kind of stuff we could have had that could have happened. I mean, it's incredible to me to even think. I don't know if we lost Bill here for a second, but I mean, just imagine. Let me know in the comments.
I'm still here. I had to turn the camera off for a minute because I had to step out.
Well, I was going to say, just let me know in the comments what you guys think.
I'm back. We got Shockmaster. Bjorn Jorgensen says Stormtrooper helmets are already hard enough to see out of. Yeah, as a matter of fact, one of the greatest ad-lib lines in Star Wars was something that George Lucas never wrote. And that was when Luke said, I can't see a thing in this helmet. He was saying that for reals, and they kept it in. Let's see, we got a Taco W33B68. Welcome to the show. Good to see you, sir. If you haven't subscribed, please take a dive down there and hit that subscribe button. Ric Flair is cringe, he says. Do you think Ric Flair's cringe? I don't know. I mean, what do you think there, Jones? You agree?
I was very entertained by him growing up, but I imagine if you were to meet him personally in the real world, you would probably find him to be a very distasteful human being.
Yeah, Dutch says a bit. He looks like crap nowadays, and he's selling energy drinks. Have you seen these energy drinks? Woo! Energy drink. Woo! I think Dutch actually drank some on his show the other day.
My biggest memories of Ric Flair is him stripping off all his clothes in the middle of the ring and elbow dropping his shoes.
I remember that.
It's one of those things. It's hard to believe.
Yeah, enough Shockmaster here. We're going to take him off the screen. So getting back to where we were, the unforgettable debut of the Shockmaster. Next slide. Where are we? 11 and 13. So, known as the grumpy old man of wrestling, Ole's shoot interviews are some of the most entertaining and awkward for the interviewer, as Ole had no problem throwing insults at the guy asking the questions. Other wrestlers often have funny Ole stories, some of the more entertaining being Jim Cornette, Steve Austin, and Al Snow. And it says, Arn Anderson flips out during a shoot interview. Ric Flair brings NWA WCW belt to WWF in 1991. Tell us a little bit about these shoot interviews that you're talking about here in this slide.
These are so great because, like, the guy will ask Ole questions, and Ole is just not afraid to just flip him back. You know, it's just like, well, why? That's a stupid question. Oh, I can tell right now you don't know anything about the wrestling business. You know what I mean? He's so abrasive, but it's just, it's kind of like a car wreck. It's just got its own enjoyment for its own carnage, you know, and you kind of feel,
you can't look away.
Yes,
you know what's going to happen.
It's like,
you can't look away.
You feel bad for the interviewer getting pummeled, but at the same time, you're hoping he pummels them some more because you're just loving watching it.
Right. Nightwing says Rick Rude versus Jack the Robinson. You know what he's talking about there?
I don't.
And he's laughing about it. We're going to have to check that one out there. Thanks, Nightwing. And Bjorn says Ric Flair was great at comedy bits, even if some weren't supposed to be. And he wrestled in the AEW on Wednesday. He's done.
Oh, I saw that. Watch.
I think Dutch talked about that. I haven't seen that that particular bit from Storytime with Dutch Mantell, but I think the thumbnail said it all. You know.
Well, I think he's 77 or 78 years old. I mean, what's he even doing in there?
He's not in any kind of good shape either.
No, it's just kind of sad to watch. Getting back to Ole though, Ole had some detractors, obviously, but he had some fans. Jim Cornette respected the hell out of Ole. Steve Austin, Stone Cold Steve Austin, was a big fan of Ole. He liked Ole. He said when Ole would get on one of his rants, he was one of the boys that would sit around and soak it all in and just enjoyed watching him get worked up.
Well, I talked about Dutch Mantell. Now, Dutch Mantell was entertained by that shit too, if I'm not mistaken.
You are correct. I think Ole was a performer even when he wasn't on camera and wasn't on stage. He was working the boys. That's how good of a worker
he was. Audience to play to, and now I see somebody who appreciates my talent. I'm going to play for this guy and entertain him. So if he saw Dutch Mantell, he would go into one of his famous rants. And of course, Dutch would be over there, you know, smirking and laughing.
All right, soaking it in. One funny thing he said to Jim Cornette that really made me laugh is he come up to Jim and he said, "Jimmy, I used to think you were a dumb fuck, but now I've seen so many dumb fucks come into this business that are so much stupider than you that you've moved up the ladder without changing nothing."
You know, Cornette was one of them kind of people that could appreciate that because he would do the same thing to other people.
Right.
Yeah, Cornette didn't hold back. If he thought you're a piece of shit, he would be more than happy to come out and tell you to your face, you're a lazy, good for nothing piece of crap, and I'm going to get you off of this show if it come hell or high water. Am I correct?
I wanted to read a couple Ole quotes here before we close down on them, just because some of the best stuff that Ole came up with is just his razor tongue and his ability to just cut people to the core. Some of them were not. Well, here, check this one out. One of the guys wanted time off and had to ask Ole. Said his grandmother had died, and Ole started grilling him. And so Ole says to him, "Well, what are you going to do? Resurrect her from the dead?" And the guy stammers. He didn't know how to respond. And he says, "Well, if you want to work, let's get to work. If you want some time off, take freaking time off then." And he walked away. And as he walked away, the guy allegedly pulled a gun out of his bag and aimed it at the back of Ole's head. And he didn't know about it until Stan Hansen came up and told him about it later. And he says to Stan, "Well, why didn't you warn me?" And Stan grins at him and says, I wanted to see if he'd actually shoot you.
Oh my God. Classic Stan Hansen. Oh my God.
You know, and that's what's funny about the wrestling business is everybody thinks the wrestling business is fake. And the parts of it that are fake aren't the parts they think, and the parts of it that are real are a little more realer than people understand. You know, but I mean, it's just
and what that's the way I feel about it. Here's the thing. That's when you know that they're doing their job correctly. When you can't tell when the kayfabe is kayfabe and when the shoot is the shoot.
Right.
And that's what brings you in, if I'm not mistaken. That's one of the reasons why we used to love to go see those local matches, because we never knew when those guys were actually mad at each other, fixing to beat each other's ass in the ring, or when they were actually, you know, doing the script. And how many times in some house show have you seen somebody go into business for themselves?
Yeah, no, it's suspend your disbelief. That's what would get you, you know. And he spoke on that with the business the way it used to be with the original Sheik. I don't know how familiar you were with the original Sheik, but Ole was like, you know, the business was basically business on bullshit, but it had one ingredient. It's if they worked with something that the fans believed the person was nuts, they believed he was nuts. They really thought that Sheik character was legitimate. You know, that it's like you go, all the rest of this might be fake, but that guy's for real.
I thought Sheik was legitimately nuts, and to this very day, I still think he's nuts. Fucking Sheik. Mr. Poe, you have a good night, sir. I'll see you tomorrow. Thank you for staying up. I told you that the slideshow would probably last a good while. You thought it was going to be a quick show, didn't you? Ha ha ha. Look at the time. Let's try to get this next slide to come up, and rest in peace, Ole Anderson. So we've come to the conclusion of our tribute to Ole Anderson, and I hope you enjoyed that. Is there any last thoughts you want to give about Ole before we get into some fun before the show's over? The last 30 minutes is going to be music and fun.
What's up, everybody? It's Joneser, your favorite.
Yeah,
just that.
Comic book guy. Sorry about that. I played your intro.
Just that. What the wrestling business could have had Ole been able to play nice and stay in it. This guy had a mind for the business and how to draw money and how to write a show. And, you know, I mean, when he was critiquing other wrestlers, Jim Cornette, a real funny story he'd say about Ole, when he'd get in there and we'd watch guys that weren't very good, and he'd give them pointers if he thought he could get something out of them. And if he didn't like them or he didn't think they had anything to offer, he would just say, "You don't do this again." And then they're like, "What part of it?" "None of it. Just don't do any of this anymore. Just leave." Like that was that was his advice, you know, like you just don't do this anymore.
Mike Fee says Harley Race was like Ole and Jim Cornette. He didn't give a shit. And he has a gun and a pow, a pew pew in the locker room there, a bang stick. Harley Race was one of the legit tough guys. I agree with that statement. Harley Race was a son of a gun too, was he not?
He was, and I believe when Ole ran across Harley Race, I think I was just looking at it. He told him from the get-go, "You're going to make a lot of money in this business." Which I'm sure he didn't throw that out at a lot of people.
All right, let's take a look at where we're at tonight, folks. So I'm stuck at 902. I need to get some more subscribers to get to 1,000. We're slowly going there. And we made $25 and some change last night, getting towards our $50 weekend goal. So we're about 50% there, folks. We need a little bit more change in the bucket to get us on up to the $50 goal. Radical says, I see 903. Okay. That little line up there, it moves sometimes and sometimes it don't. I don't know how Streamlabs actually grabs that information. So thank you, Radical Choice. I was talking to Joneser about that earlier today during pre-show. That the YouTube has been fucking with me, and they've been doing the same thing to Mike B. They'll give me a subscriber and they'll take a subscriber. So it's been 902, 903, 902, 903, 902, 903 for the last 2 days, and it's pissing me off. And what was your answer to that, Joneser?
Fake number.
It's a
They're all
fake number.
fake numbers.
Well, fake or not,
I don't think it's real.
I need the number to go to 1,000. How do I do that? Well, if you haven't
Stop
if you
paying
haven't
attention.
hit the subscribe button, do.
Here's how you ever heard of watched paint won't dry?
Yeah, I watch pot won't boil, all that shit.
There you go. I think you just need
Messing
to
with
stop.
me the past 2 months, up and down sub, says Radical Toys. You got what, about 1,200, right? And it's been kind of right around that point, kind of stuck there in it, Adam.
See, I don't know, and I just speak for me. I just look at the milestones. I think you're correct to look at the 1,000, but I think you're wasting your time if you're paying attention between 900 and 925. What are you looking at? Well, it's 901. Well, it's 902. Who cares? Does one do anything for you and the other not? It doesn't matter. You're looking to 1,000.
All right. So Radical says 1,208 now, but it's moving 105 to 1,204 up and down for a while. Okay. Yeah. What do I always say? The YouTubies giveth and the YouTubies taketh away. Check your subscriptions. They will unsubscribe you unbeknownst to you. I know it's true because I've had people tell me. I think who was it? Gilster last night said, "Yeah, I looked at my subscriptions and I'm unsubscribed to you, and I know I will subscribe to you." You know, and of course you feel our pain too, Joneser, because you're kind of stuck at like 3 something, right?
Nope.
No,
I'm 432.
432. So you've gained some subscribers here in a while. I think you get a lot of subscribers off of those shorts. I did a short today.
I've been getting a steady climb from the shorts. I think every time I do one, I gain like at least a couple. But again, like you said, YouTube gives, YouTube takes away. It comes up, it comes down. I stopped paying attention, and once I crossed 4, I'll look again once I cross 5. To me, it's milestones. Or at 450, I'll notice. I don't pay attention to the number, and at least not enough to where I know what it is most days. The only reason I knew it's 432 is because I checked it this morning. It could be 428 right now for all I know, and it'll be 440 tomorrow, and then it'll be 415, and then, you know what I mean? That's what it does.
Yeah, and I'm gonna catch up on the chat here real quick. There, True Studio showing off her membership perk there with an X-Ray Boy icon there, or emoji. So if you become a member of the channel, which memberships are open, folks, you can join the channel as a member by hitting that join button. We have membership starting at $3 a month at basic, and then you can move up to $5 if you want to be a weirdo like Sue Studio, or you can go up from there to the next tier, which is, if I'm not mistaken, that would be the Fantastics. And then you can, our Sue Studio has been a member for 8 months. Woohoo, she says. And yeah, that is great, Sue Studio. She's been with me since day one, I think. She was one of my first subscribers, and being a weirdo here on the channel. And then you can go up from Fantastics up to the $25 level and actually be on the adventure team. So, you know, that's up to you. And each tier has their own perks. and you get exclusive videos and more. You just don't know what all you get. You get Google Meets. We do Google Meets for the members and Patreons as well. I have a Patreon page if you want to support me that way. All this support gets me a new computer. And that's getting me to my next point here. And I actually added you in so you can talk when we go to this screen. Here's our supporters so far from last week and also last night. OBS gave us a tip there on the Streamlabs, and so did Gojatron last week. And Susudio gave us $2 today. Thank you, Susudio. Let me put that up there. Look at there. She gave me a $2 super sticker. Me, yeah. Thanks, Susudio. I appreciate you helping out, girl. I'm gonna put you on the list tomorrow. I like Salt, Gilster, B. Poe Man, Miss Deborah Poe, Mary Otwall. That's the Radical Mom, of course. Mr. B, you, Motu Joneser, and Radical Toys have all helped me out here by giving me some super chats and super stickers, and I certainly appreciate that from all of you guys. And also, we've got some music and fun, and there's a new one down there. My mother told me we're going to play that in just a second. What do you think there, Joneser?
I'm looking forward to seeing it.
All right. It's actually Atwell. She spelled it wrong. Oh, my goodness. Okay, well, I'll fix that. And Susudio says, I was your first YouTube's member. You certainly were. You certainly were. Thank you so much for your support. You've been with me almost since day one, Susudio, and you've been nothing but a good supporter, kind of like OBS over there, and I like Salt. And all the rest of you guys, if you're not supporting me with super chats, or you're not able to be a member, that's okay. There's other ways to help the channel out. That's by sharing and commenting on videos and watching videos. I actually released a new video for everyone today, and it's a video that's on the music and fun here, and that is That Time Is Now. What do you think there, Jones? Have you had a chance to watch any of these videos that I have on my channel?
I've actually seen a lot of these, either being on the show or just have been around you for long enough. I've seen the loop, I'm
going to give everybody a wonderful thing here tonight. I'm going to let you guys watch the newest video that we put out. If you want, just put Radical Mom. Okay, I think I can do that there, Radical Toys. Pretty much I go over to what YouTube YouTube shows me who's giving me super chats, and I just go down the list and write down the names and put it on the list there. But we can call her Radical Mom because that's who she really is, and always has been to us, as Radical Mom. I hope she's still with us. She might have tripped on off to bed, because it's kind of late for those guys. And Studio giving us some superpowers there. Look at that custom special members only emoji that she's throwing out there at us. If you guys are ready for some music and fun, I guess I'm the one that gave her. Yes, there she is. I gave her the name. Okay. So I will change her name to Atwell or just Radical Mom here. Let's get some music and fun going, folks. I've got a brand new video that I just made today, and she said, "Yes, you gave me that up," and my voice is cutting up. I'm sorry, but I'm hoping that this video will take care of that issue for you guys. We're gonna watch the video, brand new video that I cut today. Yeah, and that was My Mother Told Me with our friend T-Law there singing. What'd you think about that one, Joneser?
Well, I only see it to my left on a bit of a video delay, but it looked pretty good to me.
And from the time that that I left the pre-show today till I came back, I kind of put that together. I hope I did a good job,
Especially with the time constraint.
Yeah. And of course, we have more music and fun here for you guys. If you guys want to take a look at that, I lost my subscriber goal and super chat goal here on the screen, but that's okay. Let's go over here and look at the videos that we have available to us on the music and fun. We have Drunken Sailor, Sally Brown, which always gets me demonetized, with a Wellerman, which is a pretty good song. Scarborough Fair, which is one of Radical Mom's favorites. Shipping Up to Eternia, My Mother Told Me, karaoke night with our friends from Eternia. That Time Is Now with the Superpowers, Instrument of War, Hogan Tells a Lie, and Orko's Magic Trick. And what we like to do is have a little music and fun towards the end of each show, and let everybody get a chance to pick what they want to hear. So if you have anything there that you want to hear, just let me know, and I'll be more than happy to play it for you. Anything you'd like to hear there, Joneser?
Don't matter to me.
That's
I always like. Well, I always like when we do the old school commercials.
Radical Toys wants some Drunken Sailor. You got it. You got it there, Adam. We'll play Drunken Sailor just for you, bud. And I think you had given me a super chat the other day and didn't get what you wanted, so because I forgot to give it to you. So we're going to give it to you tonight. Let's go to the video list here. Let me get in studio mode and cue that sucker up, and get Radical Toys what he wants here. He wants some Drunken Sailor. I think that's probably the most #1 requested video on the list, Jones.
1000%.
Ready? 2, 3. What do we do with a drunken sailor? What do we do with a drunken sailor? What do we do with a drunken sailor? Early in the morning, way hey up she rises, way hey up she rises, way hey up she rises. Early in the morning, way hey up she rises, way hey up she rises, way hey up she rises. Early in the morning.
Shave his belly with a rusty razor. Shave his belly with a rusty razor. Shave his belly with a rusty razor. Early in the morning.
Way hey up she rises, way hey up she rises, way hey up she rises. Early in the morning. Put him in a longboat till he's sober. Put him in a longboat till he's sober. Put him in a longboat till he's sober. Early in the morning. Way hey up she rises, way hey up she rises, way hey up she rises. Early in the morning. Way hey up she rises, way hey up she rises, way hey up she rises. Early in the morning.
Stick him in the scupper with a hose pipe on him. Stick him in the scupper with a hose pipe on him. Stick him in the scupper with a hose pipe on him. Early in the morning.
Way hey and up she rises, way hey and up she rises, way hey and up she rises. Early in the morning. Give him a dose of salt and water. Give him a dose of salt and water. Give him a dose of salt and water. Early in the morning. Way hey oh, way hey oh, way hey oh. Early in the morning.
That's what we do with the drunken sailor. That's what we do with the drunken sailor. That's what we do with the drunken sailor. Early in the morning.
Way up she rises, way up she rises, way up she rises. Early in the morning. Way up she rises, way up she rises, way
go. Woo, sounds great, says Radical Mom. Still chugging along at a little over 50%, at 54% of our super chat goal for the weekend. We're at $27 right now, and we're wanting to get $50 a weekend, and that's all going toward a new computer for this show so that some of the issues that you're seeing with my video will be solved. More RAM and more computing power and a better video card and a nice desktop computer is what I'm kind of looking to get. What you got going on over there, Joneser? Have you even started on the gauntlet has been thrown, and I know you released a short.
Yeah, those are kind of the easiest thing for me to do right now because time's kind of a premium. I'll be honest with you, I don't live and die for my YouTube channel. I've got so many other irons in the fire. It's, kind of, this has been falling to the wayside the last 3 weeks. I haven't even done a long form video. So I'd like to cut one tomorrow. I wanted to do one today, but again, just sometimes the gears of business crush on both ends.
What I'm thinking about doing tomorrow is something that I sometimes will do on a Friday. I was looking at my Clark Kent figure, and he needs a hat. And I've got a Joker hat that will work perfectly for him were it painted like gray or blue. And I might just sit down and have a Sunday afternoon with just everybody hanging out and just do a little bit of crafty stuff here and work on that. Radical's got a question there for you, Joneser. He wants to know when your Dick Tracy figures are going to come, the Mezco ones.
Well, I have been charged for the prune face figure. So that should be coming in the mail. I ordered that through Time Walker Toys. Have you ever heard of them, Bill?
Mm-mm.
He was sold out at Mezco. He was sold out at Big Bad Toy Store. And so I was turning around looking to try to find somebody else I could order him from.
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted to find one that was reputable or at least had been in business for a long time. Time Walker was the number one because he was sold out at I don't even know if Entertainment Earth had him or not.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, the problem I have with the prune face coming out first is this is the cart before the horse. So like we still haven't got Dick Tracy and Flat Top, which is supposed to be the opening pieces to the set. And now I'm getting the continuation figure prune face first. And some people already have their videos up of him. They've already got him. So yeah, I'll be getting the Joe Biden action figure pretty soon, but I'm still be waiting for Dick Tracy and Flat Top.
I got you. Yeah. Johnny Sorensen giving us some love here. Nice one, Late Night Crew. I released a video today. It's been up. It was up all week long. Nobody watched it until earlier today before it actually released. Some of the members got a chance to watch it. And that was that time is now. I actually recut that just a little bit. And I'm going to play that here in just a minute because I just love it because I've been on a superpowers kick here lately. And maybe that'll give my video a chance to cool off a little bit because it's getting a little choppy here. So I'm going to go over here and cue it up so you guys can hear it and check out That Time Is Now. Just a little bit of backstory on That Time Is Now. It was actually what was known as a Cartoon Network Groovy. It was done by a guy by the name of Michael Kohler, if I'm not mistaken. And there's a couple of web pages that go into some detail about that. And all you got to do is put in Michael Kohler, That Time Is Now, Super Friends, and they'll come up for you. But I love the background music for this, and I added my superpowers in instead of the cartoons. And so check this out, guys.
cars toppled, buildings entirely just crushed and crumbled. I'm not sure if it's safe to report from my vantage point. I really need to leave. Civil Defense has informed me that the surrounding areas are in ruin. I see some people running now. In the opinion of this reporter, if this nation, or in fact the world, ever needed heroes, that time is now. That time is now.
There we go. And Jones are showing us a copy of Action Comics #1 there on the screen. Yeah. And we're still.
I love that video, Bill.
Yeah.
I love that video. That's very well done, very well cut, very well edited. I tip my hat to you, sir.
Thank you, sir. High praise from the master. Yeah, I kind of worked hard on that, and like I said, I went back and added that Wonder Woman jet zooming across the screen there in the clouds, and gave Aquaman a little bit more love so that you could see him swimming under the sea, and you know, I love my figures, and that the channel name is Weird Fantastic Toy Adventures. The channel is not about me. It's not about Joneser. It's not about even late night, even though we'd like to come in here and do a late night show on Saturday night just for fun. The show is about my toys, and it always has been, and the adventures that they go on. And I like to share those adventures with everybody, and I think that that's something that people love to see. I think that's what brought you in, is it not, Joneser?
100%. Actually, I think you were redoing some of the mini comics or whatever, and I think that was my first way I found you, you know, and yeah, the rest is history. I crossed or wind with you on Grindhead Jim's live stream, and there's impromptu invite, and they haven't got rid of me since.
Yeah, and it's probably a good thing. I'm glad it happened that way. What I plan on doing is I plan on finishing out the other two mini comics someday. I'm working on getting what I need to make those look good, which is one of the reasons why I haven't even done anything yet. I don't. Grindhead told me just do it with what you got, but I'm too much of a perfectionist when it comes to that kind of stuff. So there's more Motu videos coming someday in the future. Just stay tuned, folks. If you don't have the notification bell ring that thing right now, because that's what's going to get you going when those videos go live. And I'm going to play one more video for you guys. I'm hoping that somebody will give me an idea of what they would like to hear. And I'll show you the video screen here in just a second so you can see the list. And of course, they can hear us, Joneser, when they see this. So I added your scene in here so you could talk to me as well. I've been stuck on wrestling figures in my videos lately, says Mike V. Yeah, I've noticed that, man. I saw watched some of your shorts today when I was at lunch break at work. I had to work today, folks. And it's going to be that way for the future too, Jones, or at least for the next 2 weeks. And I'm also going to be working overtime every day. So that means I'm going to be working 9 hours a day instead of 8 each day. So that's good for me because I need that overtime.
I say 9 hours a day. I remember when I had a part-time job too.
Yeah. Well, speaking of part-time jobs, I mean, good grief, this is a part-time job in and of itself right here.
You ain't kidding.
With our music and fun list that we have here, we've done Drunken Sailor tonight, and we've done My Mother Told Me, which is the brand new one that I worked up today, and we've done That Time Is Now. Radical Toy says, I've also been doing some wrestling vids lately in my mix. Yeah, I've noticed that, Adam, over there on your channel. I do watch. Sometimes I just stay quiet in the background, and sometimes I have to watch you on the replay because I can't get you live. My bedtime is a little earlier now than it has been since I have to get up earlier than normal to go to work nowadays. But what do you think there, Jones? Are you seeing things sticking out at you there on the list that maybe you haven't heard in a while or you want to hear again?
I got the one I wanted. I wanted the My Time Is Now. So I think if there's anyone in the chat, looks like we got 15 watching right now, according to YouTube's fake numbers.
Yeah, well, that's up from 11 a minute ago.
So if anybody in there wants to call something out, I would yield to them. Otherwise,
Absolutely.
it is your show, and you could always pick one too.
I could, but I want to please everyone as well. One of the ones that I'm kind of partial to is the Wellerman, and I have decided that some of these videos are only going to be available on late night, and they're not going to be available just for downloads because I want people to come in on late night and to watch the videos that's their favorites. And the Wellerman and My Mother Told Me are two of our exclusive videos that are here on Music and Fun. And if you have any ideas that you would like to see me do with my figures in these videos, just drop me a line in the comments and let me know, because I read every comment that comes in, and tell me what you would like to hear. And of course, I love that shipping up to Eternia because it shows off my figures. If you guys want to hear that, I think that's what I'm going to play next. And we'll do some shipping up to Eternia, and then after that, we'll call it pretty much a night. We've done a lot tonight. We've covered Ole Anderson, and I think that was something that needed to be done. He was probably a legend. Expound on that a little bit while I cue this next one up.
Well, I would just say the business wouldn't be the same without him. Granted, the business eventually passed him by, but I think Ole had a mind of which he could have jumped in yesterday and moved the needle for any show, within just looking at what's there and working with what he's got. Now, granted, I don't know if today's talent could handle being insulted by him like yesterday's could, but it's a shame because I do think that wrestling lost a very underrated mind for the business who could do it all. He could work, he could write it, he could book it, he could work creative. He understood how to market it. He understood also, and this is one that wrestling's really lost, what not to do. He knew that.
Now, he was the booker at WCW, and we talked about that earlier, and he came up with some of the greatest gimmicks in the world, and then he came up with the Shockmaster. When Eric Bischoff came along, that was about the time that Ole left. Did Ole get fired? Did Eric fire him?
He was part of Eric's cleaning the house and going to the new guard. He knew Ole and him probably wouldn't work well together, and I'm sure he assumed right. There's a funny story. Eric removed Ole and Bryant, his son, and first Bryant was let go of, and then Ole was still there, and Ole was working at the power plant training. Well, Jim Cornette famously gave Bryant the job. I think it was Smoky Mountain Wrestling, and so Ole has Jim and him on his at the WCW power plant. They're filming Bryant's promos for Jim's production over there, and it's funny as Eric Bischoff shows up and Ole's out there with Jim Cornette on their property filming for another wrestling show, and he's like, "Oh, hey Eric, I'm on my break. Hey, this is Jim. Hey, you remember Bryant? You know my son Bryant, the one you fired?"
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't too long after that Ole got let go of.
Yeah, I can imagine. Of course, Bischoff was bad about doing stuff like that. I don't know. I've got mixed feelings about Eric Bischoff. That was an interesting time when they actually started having the Monday Night Wars and the NWO showed up. That was all Eric Bischoff doings. So you got to give the guy props for that. Radical said,
was it because there's some talk that it might have been Greg Gagne's idea that Eric stole, and then another guy, Mike, he was in Florida. Anyway, he was another booker who claimed he came up with the idea and Eric took it. So whether it was Eric's idea or he took it from somebody and rolled with it is up for debate.
LA Knight. Okay, so Radical Toy says, "Who's your guy's favorite wrestler of all time?" And so Mike Fee comes in and says,
Mike Graham.
Hogan, Wyatt, Austin, Dusty, and Cody, some of his favorites. And of course, Jamie Sanders says LA Knight, LOL. And then Mike Graham Jones, I think.
That's what I was Mike something, Michael Knight, the Knight Rider. That's what it was. I got you.
Radical Toy says that he was a Macho Man fan and a Jake the Snake fan. My favorite wrestler of all time, laugh if you will, is Jerry Lawler. And that's only because I'm a Memphis fan. Memphis wrestling has been part of my life since I was a little kid. That's what I grew up on. And that's the main reason. The Toy Mama loves the Undertaker and Kane.
Like big guys.
What about you, Jones? Or who's your favorite all-time wrestler?
Ooh, that's hard. It would depend on what day of the week you caught me or what promotion we're talking about, because I watched all of it from everywhere and I have my answers different. Like favorite wrestler in WCW, favorite wrestler in Mid-South, favorite wrestler and favorite heel, favorite babyface, favorite tag team. God, it's hard. Which one do I keep going back to and watching the most back? Probably. God, that's hard. I like the older stuff. So
let me give you an idea of what it's like from in my demented, twisted mind. I have favorites in different eras, and they don't cross over. And Mike Fee says Memphis had a lot of talent, and I agree, Jones. It's very hard to come up with who your favorite is because you go into the different eras. So if I go into rock and wrestling, it's Hulk Hogan all day long, right? If I go Memphis wrestling, and in those days, man, I'm going to tell you Jerry Lawler, but I'm going to tell you somebody who absolutely is, and we've covered him on this show before, and that is oh God, I'm going to lose my mind here. Troy Graham, the Dream Machine. My God, Dream Machine could hold your attention, and he was so funny. when he would go into that jive routine. And then you start coming forward in time and you start looking at like the Attitude Era. That'd be Stone Cold Steve Austin all day long, man. And then you're looking over there at the Monday Night Wars, and then you're looking at the NWO and Hollywood Hogan, and you got Big Sexy and the Wolfpack coming out, you know, and that was just a time, man. And China, yeah, Toy Mama talking about China. She was another favorite. A Night in China, Christina. Let's not talk about any corn videos that may or may not have been shot with Sean
I guess I can go back to that. Who my favorite wrestler would be? I'm probably going to have to say the Macho Man is the one I keep coming back to. I watch a lot of the Macho Man stuff. Great promo, great in-ring work, could work heel, could work babyface, could tell a story in the ring, and could do business with other people. I'm going to have to say he's one of the best all around in the last 30, 40 years. No question.
I agree with you on that. And my first foray with Macho Man was right there on Memphis Wrestling and Studio Wrestling. That's where I first saw him, and I swear to God, I always thought that vein right there in his forehead was going to burst.
He made you believe it. He made you believe it was real. You believed what that man was saying. You believed he believed it. He knew how to I could pull you in. That guy was so magnetic. He'd get on camera and he'd start talking, and even if you were just walking by, you'd be like, "Oh, what's going on over here?" You know, you couldn't. It was impossible to change the channel on him, even if you didn't like him. Especially if you didn't like him. The stuff he did, the heel stuff with him and Elizabeth, where he was like he was abusing her or picking on her or whatever, that stuff is great. And think about it. How many times do you get to see the heel wrestler with the babyface manager?
Yeah. Yeah. And we all loved her, did we not?
Yes, we wanted her to leave that horrible Macho Man. You're better than that, honey. What are you doing? And he would literally like push her toward the other guy or hide behind her, like, you know, tell her, "Get in the corner, be quiet," you know.
Yeah, and that was some excellent heel work there. And how much of that was real and how much of it wasn't? Once again, we talk about that's the kayfabe part of it and the shoot.
Yeah,
part of it you never knew,
unfortunately,
right?
I do think that might have been a pretty good sneak preview of her life, and that's unfortunate, and probably why their marriage ultimately ended in divorce.
Yeah. I see Adam saying a lot of them say in interviews that Macho Man was one of the business models to make money. He knew how to make it. I don't know. Did he spend it too? I think he probably did.
No, he was notoriously cheap. Even when he was rich, they said he'd go to the diner and he'd walk behind with a to-go box and any like half-eaten hamburger or fries somebody didn't want, he'd collect it from everybody, and that would be his meal. He had all these crazy ways to save money on the road. They said that when the other people had luggage where they had the wheels, he was still carrying his. Like, he wouldn't buy the ones with the wheels. The guy's a freaking millionaire by this time. He's living like a hobo.
Wow.
He saved every cent.
All right, guys, I'm gonna play some Ship It Up to Eternia real quick, and then we'll Well, it's about time to say goodnight to everybody. You still with me there, Jones, or I see black screen there? There you are. Good. And the ducks are being fed, and we're going to say goodnight to everybody. The train's going by. I can hear it out there in the background. It's a little after 12. The show has come to a pretty good conclusion. I think we did pretty well tonight there, Joneser. Thank you so much for that hard work you did today.
Well, thank you, sir. I do think we do pretty well as a team in the scramble. You know, truth be told to our wonderful audience here, we prepared the show in no less than 20 minutes, you know, on like one bite of RAM and, you know, with a shoestring budget. But we always pull it off pull it out.
Yeah, Radical Toy says, snap into a Slim Jim, all good night. Good night to you. Radical Mom saying good night, great show. Zazel's Clubhouse, dang, did I miss the show? Yes, Zazel, you did. I'm glad you're here right now in just a little bit. You're going to have to watch the replay. And the nice thing about replays is you can skip around in them to the good parts and skip the bad parts. We did a long tribute to Ole today, Ole Anderson. And he's vomiting over the Slim Jims. I like Slim Jims. As a matter of fact, I've got one here. I'm probably going to eat before I go to bed. But yeah, it's been a good night. We had some music and fun towards the end. We still are short of our super chat goal for the weekend, but that's okay. We got tomorrow to go, and all through the week I may show something. And if you want to help out on the super chat goal, you can also do a super like. So you can go to your favorite video and start watching that on YouTube. And you go down below the video, and there's a list of things that you can do on that. And one of them is the little heart with a $sign in it. You click on that, and it's like a super chat, but it's in the comments. And those are always highlighted, and I always answer them. And I prefer hot rods over Slim Jims, says Radical Toys.
Never heard of a hot rod.
Jamie Sanders loves her Slim Jims. And Toy Mama says, good night and great show as always. Thank you everyone for being here. LA Knight is the Slim Jim guy now, says Mike B. I noticed that in some of the ads that it's still Macho Man selling the Slim Jims in the stores there on the thing. I don't know how that works. I'm sure that somebody's making money off of his image. Look them up, but they might be Canadian there, Jones, or Hot Rods.
I never heard of it.
Never heard of it. It must be a Canadian thing. Love LA Knight, says Jamie Sanders. She loves her some LA Knight. I've heard of it.
Okay, I'm going to probably sound like I'm a million years old. Who the fuck is LA Knight?
He's a wrestler. I've heard of him, but I've never seen him wrestle.
Oh, okay.
I
guess if it happened in the last 10 years, I probably didn't see it.
I don't mean hot as in looks. I mean hot as in that's the latest, greatest thing in wrestling for some odd reason is LA Knight. Apparently, that's why Jamie is enamored of him. He's on WWE.
Okay, I caught MJF. There's some good heel work.
I want to hear Dr. Claus a sign off there. He wants to hear your Ole Anderson being the Scorpion voice.
Oh, okay.
Well, thank you for tuning in to Weird Fantastic Toy Adventures, Adam. Now, I'll get you gadgets, and you all have a good night. Sting.
Good journey, everybody. We'll see you next time on Weird Fantastic Toy Adventures. Special thanks to the channel supporters. Without your help, these adventures would not be possible. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed today's adventure, please hit like, subscribe, and share the video.